Hi, my name's Marcus and I've got too much yarn. I've been saying for a while now that my yarn and fibre stash is out of control and I need to do something about it. So today is the day. Part of the problem was that I didn't actually know how much fibre and yarn I had. So I thought the best thing to do would be to chuck it all in a pile and start working my way through it and just seeing what's actually here. Now that I have chucked it all in a pile, I don't think this was a good idea, but I've started now. I can't unpile the pile. I'm making a start with handspun yarn and I'm going to make that a category of its own just because the weight can be a little bit all over the place. It's not necessarily going to be consistent the way that I spin anyway. And I use my hand spun differently. Like I kind of think of it of its own stash. So yeah, and it's easier for me to kind of, I can tell what is hand spun at a glance in this pile. So I just figured that'll be the easiest place to start. All of my mini skeins and scraps, I'm just going to be storing them all together and just keep them a category separately as well. Most of my scraps are going to be 4-ply, and I think all of my mini skeins are going to be 4-ply as well. But even if there's some DK, I'm just going to keep them all into a separate category because my plan is to either put them into one of my scrappy projects or give them to a friend, or if it's like tiny little amounts that I've already used, I'm just going to get rid of them. But one thing that is good about doing this process is I have found so many things that I thought were lost to time. Likes of like even just tote bags, like this one that I bought years ago with a possum on it eating mushrooms. It's all the stuff that I forgot I actually owned, but then also all of the crochet hooks and knitting needles that I've lost over the years, like I've kind of found them as well because they've been at the bottom of bags full of yarn. My fibre as well, I'm going to keep that separate and I'm going to kind of come back to that after I've dealt with the yarn. I am going to be taking stock of all of my fibre as well, but that's kind of its own thing, and I'll save that towards the end because there is 10 alpaca fleeces in my studio that I will be including in that, so I'm just going to put these to one side for the time being. When it comes to 4-ply, that is the bulk of my collection. So I don't know whether to differentiate between like hand-dyed, commercial, and then I have a lot of this 4-ply cotton, which I use for a lot of different things. But again, it's kind of its own separate stash because what I use this for, I wouldn't use this for, and vice versa. So I'm not too sure. What would you do? I think I might keep the kind of the wool together and then keep this separate but include it all under 4-ply. I'm a person that likes data. I think knowledge is power. So yeah, if I can specify, I probably will specify because that's just how I work. I'm going to keep all of my double knit weight yarn separate, but then I'm going to have another category of everything else. So I have this It's a boucle yarn, but it varies quite a lot. So there is some like long lace sections, then the boucle is a little bit thicker. I don't really, my friend dyed this and gifted this to me, which was really, really lovely, but I have no idea what I'm doing with it yet. So I'm going to keep that in the other yarn category, along with, I have some mohair lace. This isn't something I use very often. I don't actually really like mohair, but I sometimes use it in art yarns. It's kind of good for things like that. And I think my last pile is going to be acrylic. I don't actually have a lot of acrylic anymore. I kind of worked through it over the years and I stopped buying it a long time ago. But there are some remainders, and the reason I'm going to keep them in their own separate pile is that I think I'm probably just going to donate them to a charity shop. I don't really have any desire to work with this, which is why it's been in my stash for so long. I don't enjoy working with acrylic. I don't like the way it feels. I could never wear anything that's acrylic because I run quite hot as it is, so wearing something that's 100% acrylic isn't going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to keep them separate, and I'm not saying I'm definitely going to get rid of them, but I'm going to keep that window open for me. I'm making good progress sorting through things. It's still very, very chaotic, but I keep getting distracted because I keep finding more and more treasure. I have this yarn here, and it's actually bison yarn. This I'm not going to be including because this isn't stash yarn. This is ornamental yarn that I will just keep and treasure forever. It was gifted to me by my friend Leora after a conversation that we had. She's seen some at an event she was at and thought of me immediately, so sent it over to me. But yeah, they're really, really, I think they're like 5 grams. They're teeny tiny amounts. There's not really a whole lot, they're not even 5 grams each. But yeah, there's a teeny amount. There's not a whole lot that I could do with that, but I just don't, these are too precious to be used, so they are not stash. I'm just about finished categorizing all of the different things, but I just wanted to show you where I'm at so far. So this is all of the yarn that I'm still to search through. This pile here at the back, and I do need to just say that all of the piles are bleeding into each other, which was always going to happen. But this pile at the back, that's all of my fibre for spinning. And then here we have the acrylic, which is probably going to be getting donated. This bag here, this whole bag is just the 4-ply cotton from Stashdown. And there are so many duplicates. I mean, likes of the black and white, I was working on a project, but I have so, I have like, I think I found 6 balls of red. Part of the problem is, with my entire stash, is that I do not know what's in it. So when I think I need something, I just go out and buy more of it, which I'm stopping that. That's not continuing. So that is my cotton bag. This here is all of my DK weight yarn. In between the acrylic, the fibre and the DK, there is a pile of miscellaneous yarn, which is like mixed weights, but it's, kind of stuff I've only got maybe 1 ball of that weight, so there's no point, having lace weight, add-in, chunky. This IKEA bag here, this is all of the handspun yarn that I have in here. I feel like there's more in my studio, but we'll worry about that later. This bag and this pile of rubble surrounding the bag, that is all of my scraps and mini skeins. Then all along here, this whole mound is my 4-ply yarn. So I've gathered all of the cotton together, and there is more than just the Stashdown cotton. There is some DK cotton and a little bit of bamboo as well, but I'm keeping all of these together because these will be used in the same kind of projects. I tend to use this for amigurumi and like washcloths and tea towels, things like that. So I'm going to give them away and see how much I've got. So there is just over 2 kilograms of just cotton. That's more than I thought it would be. If I'm honest, so I didn't really have an estimate as to how much my total stash would be, but I thought maybe 6 kilos, around about that. But if this is 2 kilos, and this is a drop in the ocean for my whole stash, I think I'm going to have a lot more yarn than what I thought I did. My mixed weight yarn is 1.1 kilograms. My DK weight yarn is 2.8 kilograms. I have 800 grams of acrylic. Handspun, I have 3.5 kilos of handspun. That is a provisional figure, as I know that I do have some small amounts of handspun in my studio. I'll add them to the total once I've filmed everything. My commercial 4-ply yarn isn't as bad as I thought it would be. I used to have a pretty sizable collection of just commercial sock yarn, but I've only got 1.15 kilos there, so that's not too bad. And then my indie 4-ply, there's a fair amount here. This isn't all hand dyed. Over here, we have, this is like from farmers, and then there is some skeins that have maybe had a little bit taken out. And this is yarn. It's just a sock blank with little sheep on it. So the 4-ply in total, I've got 5.5 kilograms. So I went down to my studio and I weighed what I had in there. And I just need to specify that this is just my personal stash. This isn't including any stock. I don't actually have that much stock just now. if you're looking for some, it's in Yarnology in Babbacombe in Devon. But yeah, so the total amount of fibre I have in my home and in my studio, in my garden, is 26.81 kilograms. This is, yeah, this is a lot more than what I thought there was going to be. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. I was saying that I was going to be weighing all of this, and they'd kind of asked how much I thought I had. And that's where I'd kind of thought the 6 kilo, maybe. But I did joke like, oh, but I probably have like 20 kilos. But so in total, I actually have 47.6 kilos of yarn and fibre. So there is another figure that I haven't mentioned actually in amongst that, and that is my work in progress yarn. So that isn't the project that I've weighed, it's the yarn that is still to go into the project. I decided to weigh that. That's only 1 kilo. That's not really a large amount in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, so the total weight of yarn that I have was 19.5 kilos. The whips were 1 kilo, and then the fibre was 26.81 kilos. And that gives me a total of 47.6 kilograms of Fibre Arts supplies. Yeah. This is so much more than I thought there was going to be. And my joke figure was 20 kilos, and it's more than double my joke figure. That's, yeah. If I thought about how much money I had spent on these materials over the years, I would probably cry. So I'm not going to think about that. But yeah, on a kind of more serious note, I'm not ashamed of my stash. All of these things I have bought because I want them, and I want to make things with them. I'm excited for them. This is more just about controlling my own behaviour, I guess, more than anything else. I also really don't want this to come across as like a show-off video, like, look at how much I've got, aren't I such a lucky duck? I'm kind of viewing this as more of a problem than anything else, but it is a very good problem to have. My next steps really will be trying to make plans and how I'm going to be using up this 47.6 kilos of Fibre Arts supplies. Yeah, if you'd be interested in seeing a video in me planning some projects, please let me know. That's something that I could definitely do. But if that's not your thing, that's absolutely fair. If people aren't interested, I'm not going to kind of waste my time filming it. But if it's something you'd be interested in watching, let me know. But with that, I think I'm going to leave it because I am absolutely exhausted. I started this process at, I think, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is now about 11 o'clock in the evening. So I am done. I am done for the day, and I am going to read my book in bed. I can't even think about knitting or crocheting right now. I've had enough of Fibre Arts for today. But thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed this rather chaotic experience. To an extent I have as well. I feel better about things. So I mentioned that I'm a person that likes data, and I'm very happy that I now do have that data, because now that I know the scale, I can plan a solution. And that's something that I kind of geek out on. Like, I would love at the end of this year to be able to say what percentage of a reduction there has been in my stash, or potentially an increase. We never know. I am not planning on buying any more yarn in the immediate future. I'm not saying I'm not going to buy any yarn this year. That's not something I think I could stick to. Oh, and I do have a holiday booked actually, and I'm going to be in Germany, in a couple places in Germany, I think, and I will be in Amsterdam at some point as well. There's some really nice yarn stores in these places. So I'm not saying that I'm not buying yarn, but it's definitely not going to be a priority. My priority is going to be making this number smaller. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you found this entertaining at least. And I would love to know, are you the sort of person that keeps track of your stash? And if so, how do you do it? I have some friends I know who, as soon as they buy yarn, the first thing they do is update their Ravelry page to add this yarn to it. That's not something I've ever really stayed on top of, and if I'm honest, the thought of adding this to my Ravelry, that's not happening. That is too much admin work for me. But yeah, if you keep track of it, how do you do it? Because clearly I need a bit of help in doing that. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.